Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Makona Man at YouTube with another model video. 3D printing and modelling the K-scale model, the 1 to 1700 scale Izumo-class spaceship Kusanagi from Gundam Seed. A transformable vessel that's depicted in the launching scene at the start of this video. A emotive and iconic segment to the franchise. The downloadable files are very hefty, which gave me paralysis in choice. I was gifted this to review and produce, but I would compare it more to a sandbox or open Lego kit where you have many possibilities. The technical drawings and instructions depict the main hull and how to initially put it together, but you're given infinite choices in open and closed hatches, every position of turret, gun, and angle that's possibly depicted in any game or show. I believe it is exclusive to the K-Scale Models Patreon. Link below if otherwise. Been sitting on it for a few years, open the file, then close it. Once I was hell-bent on starting, I sorted out every component and the drawing and figured out that I wanted to make the takeoff one, which is the least detailed and small, which has an additional file with the launcher and hanger. More on that later. For the base loadout, pre-sliced files are included for a smaller printer and supported pieces that you can slice yourself. To go for another variant or a custom touch, it is not for the beginner or faint-hearted and a bit involved. A lot of small parts, so small some of them I digitally meshed together and printed it in one point rather than having them individual and gluing them later. Once the collection parts are sorted and confirmed they'll make the ship I want, I rotated each piece in an optimal rotation for 3D printing, hollowed them punch drain holes, created supports and saved each piece as a file, combining them all on a bed and slicing at a longer exposure and slow retraction. I am using white Sunlu Jayo standard resin in a Anycubic Mono X 6K. Old resin is thoroughly stirred with the new mix and heated to a toasty 35-40 degrees Celsius. The bed is inspected and pre-primed by wetting in resin, then launched the print. With good adhesion, great results and success. The parts attached to a bed adhesion mesh was scraped off and washed in methylated spirits or denatured alcohol, then cured outside under natural UV light. After 24 hours, sometimes longer, the adhesion mesh, which guarantees I don't lose any small parts or mix with other projects, is broken up into individual components. Boiled water is prepared and put into a vessel so I can soak the supports to the model line and tear off with ease. Smaller and more fragile parts I use nippers. Where the supports were once, there's some pockmarks and distortion, which is quickly cleaned up with a Dremel. It's the fastest way of doing it while wearing a respirator not to breathe in the dust. Clean it up with a bit of a moist towel or water and done outside. Following the instruction from the add-on file to make this variant, I've test fitted everything, which has a very tight tolerance and non-forgiving, and need a little convincing by reaming out holes and loosening parts again with the Dremel, creating a nice precision fit. Using my favourite single part contact adhesive for construction and heavy duty work, 2-part epoxy and super glue is also fine. Everything is assembled to a single part and allowed time to dry and adhere, with the seams filled with a homebrew putty. Then ground down and sanded up for the final time before painting, which we are here now. I hit everything with an automotive lacquer base coat to look for any flaws, act as a primer to adhere to the surface for future laser paint, and tone correction. Followed with bright silver, which reflects the most amount of light and sits best on black, all in preparation to produce a white model. Utilising my usual process, selecting 3 tones of a hobby or automotive paint, decanting in a shot glass, reducing it multiple times with a automotive grade lacquer thinner, Ratio of around 1 to 3 to 1 to 5. Viscosity of water sticks to the container but transparent. Then adding it to a 0.5mm airbrush for base coating. Hooked up to a house showing air compressor with high-sing fittings at around 11 to 15 psi with an initial heavy wet coat of a light grey, allowing it to dry, then dusting on a darker underneath and dusting a bright white on the top to imitate definition of panels and surfaces from cascading light source. Making quick work of that, we pulled out some other colours, also lacquer, thinning them down further and hand painting appropriate details with the appropriate colours as close as possible to the anime cell screenshots. I'm using a very affordable fine tip makeup brush, maintained with a brush conditioner and also cleaned in lacquer thinner. They do die after 6 months to a year. If paint strokes are visible, I'll use the airbrush to spray straight thinner to level it all out. Doubling down on the grittiness and detail, I thinned down some Tamir accent panel line wash with gum turpentine and sludge washed the whole thing to pick up those really delicate and fine panel lines and other chunky detail. Back to the files and printers, we are greeted with a runway and diorama component, Mega Launcher, and sliced it into 1 bit. To save money and wear, I've decided to FDM print it on my Creality Ender 5 Plus. It does come smaller for smaller printers, and went to work cleaning up the stringing and layering artifacts with the Dremel and putty. The file also contained a inner hanger like the show, with the M1 ashtrays and Murasame mobile suits, expertly crafted and pretty decently capturing the detail for its size. I had to showcase this and was tossing up between a cutaway view of the ship itself, but resorted to taking a chunk out of the diorama and sticking it into the bottom like a sneak peek of what's inside the ship at scale. Which wasn't hard to do to epoxy in, putty further, sand up, and just like the ship itself, match the grey tones from the anime cell shot, and dust on and paint in multiple tones via the same airbrush. The ship was also permanently glued on, and the mini mobile suits painted to the best of my abilities. With a matte clear varnish, everything was dusted on in fine layer coats to cut the gloss sheen of the wash and any paints. Shortly after the anime dropped, Bandai released an EX mechanic line of models depicting ships and large mobile armors, noticeably from Gundam Seed and 0083. They released kits of the Archangel, the main protagonist carrier throughout the whole show, and the Eternal, the Zaft ship that appeared much later on. Out of the free ship alliance that was made a big point in the plot, they have never released this model, which was a gap the Kscalemodels has filled with this offering. Bordering between a fan piece and a legitimate piece of art from a business venture, this is most definitely a garage kit of the new age. At a quality that's a good standard and representation of the Gundam 3D printing community. Also an original Year 1 subscriber to the channel and long-time friend. This is definitely an older piece to the catalogue and the works just keep getting better and more popular. I encourage and invite everyone to check out the links and social medias down below to purchase garage kits, products or download files to print yourself. If you do not print, please contact and something can be arranged. I'm not overly confident that my offering is the best depiction and version of these wonderful files and print, but I'm definitely content and pleased that I've finished what I wish to achieve from the scene of the show. Pretty happy and definitely enjoyed the project, which ironically didn't take long to complete opposed to how long I've waited to start it. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, stay tuned for further content and we'll catch you guys later. Please check out the description section for related links, downloads, as well as my social media. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, catch you later. Bye.